Hey there. You know how sometimes, that facade of fame and fortune cracks
Hmm.
and it reveals like a much darker reality?
Yeah.
That's what we're diving into today
Okay.
with a case that sent shockwaves, I think it's safe to say, through the music industry.
Yeah, and beyond, I'd say
And
for
beyond, we're
goods.
talking about Sean Combs,
Of course.
Puff Daddy, Diddy, P. Diddy, whatever you know him as,
Right.
and some incredibly serious accusations that were
Yeah.
recently laid out in this indictment.
It's a case that, well, it goes beyond just the salacious headlines, you know?
Right.
It forces us to confront some uncomfortable truths, I think, about power,
For sure.
celebrity, and the systems that enable abuse.
And that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about one celebrity's, downfall,
Mm-hmm.
It's about understanding a much bigger picture.
It is.
So for those who might not have followed every, twist and turn of Diddy's career,
Yeah.
maybe we should rewind a bit first.
Okay.
Everyone knows the name, the music, the image.
Of course.
But how did he build this empire that's now at the center of this indictment?
Well, you're right. You can't really untangle these allegations from Diddy's trajectory.
Yeah.
He went from, producing hit records to fashion to becoming this, cultural icon.
Yeah.
And according to this indictment, that journey was running parallel to the alleged development of what they're calling the Combs enterprise.
The Combs enterprise.
Yeah.
It sounds almost like something out of a movie, honestly.
Mhm.
What exactly are they alleging this enterprise was?
In essence, they're alleging that starting back in 2008,
Okay.
Sean Combs began using his network of companies.
I-
Think Bad Boy Entertainment, Combs Enterprises, Combs Global.
Right. All the above.
Not just for business,
Right.
but for, let's say, more sinister purposes.
Okay.
The indictment claims this enterprise became a tool for control and manipulation,
Mm-hmm.
with Diddy allegedly at the center of it all.
So it wasn't just Diddy acting alone if these allegations, prove true.
Right.
We're talking about a whole network of individuals allegedly complicit in these actions.
Yeah, that's the picture the indictment paints, yeah.
Wow.
And it raises really unsettling questions about what others within these companies knew and when they knew it.
Right.
Where was the oversight? What pressures might have existed that allowed these alleged activities to just continue?
And those questions lead us to some of the most disturbing aspects of this case, right?
Yeah.
This term that keeps popping up in the indictment, freak-offs.
Oh,
It's both cryptic and deeply concerning.
yeah.
Can you shed some light on what exactly that refers to?
It's a term that honestly sends chills down your spine.
Yeah.
The indictment describes freak-offs as events, sometimes lasting for days,
Oh, wow.
arranged and orchestrated by Diddy.
Okay.
They describe these events as elaborate sexual performances involving Diddy himself,
Okay.
women who were allegedly coerced and manipulated into participating,
Yeah.
and male commercial sex workers.
It's just, it's a lot to process.
It is.
To think someone could allegedly orchestrate such a thing?
Let alone someone with Diddy's, public persona.
Yeah.
Feels like such a disconnect.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
And that's where the discussion of power dynamics
Right.
becomes absolutely crucial.
Okay.
The indictment alleges that Diddy used his influence, his wealth, and even threats
Wow.
to coerce women into participating in these freak-offs.
It wasn't just about sex then, right? It was
Yeah.
about power and control.
Exactly.
And the indictment goes even further, right?
It does.
It details allegations of violence
Mm-hmm.
and intimidation that extend beyond these freak-offs.
Yes.
We need to dig into those details as well.
That's right. It's important to remember that this indictment doesn't solely focus on the freak-off allegations.
Right.
It goes much deeper.
Okay.
It alleges this disturbing pattern of violence.
And intimidation
Right.
that permeates Diddy's alleged actions over many years.
And it feels important to be very specific here,
yes,
to avoid any, generalizations.
of course.
What are some of the concrete incidents outlined in the indictment?
One instance that really stands out involves a hotel incident
Okay.
in Los Angeles
Mm-hmm.
back in 2016.
Okay.
The indictment alleges that Diddy physically assaulted a woman,
Oh, wow.
kicking her, dragging her, even throwing a vase at her.
And this wasn't just a rumor or anything, right?
Right.
This incident was actually captured on video,
Yeah.
making headlines at the time.
Exactly. And it adds another layer to this case.
Okay.
Because according to the indictment, when a hotel security guard tried to intervene,
Okay.
Diddy allegedly attempted to bribe him to stay quiet, Wow. It speaks to a potential pattern of not only, alleged violence, but also attempts to silence those who might come forward.
It's like they're building this case that points to a systematic abuse of power, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
That it wasn't just about these like isolated incidents,
Right.
but a way of operating that was like designed to maintain control.
That's precisely the picture the indictment paints.
Wow.
It alleges that Diddy used these tactics, violence, intimidation, bribery,
Yeah.
not only against the women involved in these alleged freak-offs,
Right.
but against anyone he perceived as a threat,
Wow.
employees, business associates, even witnesses,
Yeah.
all allegedly subject to this alleged reign of fear.
It's chilling to think about, honestly.
Yeah.
This man who cultivated this image of success,
Right.
of empowerment, of being at the top of his game,
Yeah.
could allegedly be capable of such darkness.
Right.
It makes you question everything, doesn't it?
It really does, and I think that's what makes this case so important to examine.
Right.
It forces us to confront the limitations of our own perceptions.
Right.
We often conflate wealth and fame with integrity
Right.
and character.
Yeah.
But this case serves as a stark reminder that those things don't always align.
It makes you wonder how much of what we see in the public eye
Yeah.
is carefully constructed image versus like reality.
Right.
How much of this alleged darkness was hidden in plain sight, masked by the blinding lights of fame and fortune?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's a question we have to grapple with as consumers of pop culture. We buy into these narratives, these carefully curated personas. But this case underscores the importance of critical thinking, of looking beyond the surface and engaging with a more discerning eye.
Absolutely. And this brings us to this, like, the so what of it all.
Right.
Because it's easy to get caught up in the salacious details of a case like this.
Of course.
But we need to talk about the broader implications.
Yeah.
Why should this Diddy indictment matter to the average person, even if they've never, listened to one of his songs?
You've hit the nail on the head.
Right.
This case goes far beyond one man's alleged wrongdoings.
Okay.
It throws a harsh spotlight on the power imbalances that permeate industries,
Right.
like the music industry,
Right.
where success often hinges on who you're aligned with and the price some are willing to pay to climb that ladder.
It feels like a microcosm of a much larger conversation happening right now, doesn't it?
It does.
About accountability, about believing those who speak out against powerful figures,
Yes,
about dismantling systems that protect abusers.
absolutely. It highlights the responsibility we all have
Yes.
to engage in these conversations,
For sure.
to listen to survivors,
Of course.
and to demand better from the institutions and individuals we support.
Which brings us to the most important point, and that is that this is an ongoing legal case.
Yes,
We have to acknowledge that Diddy is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law.
exactly. While we're unpacking these allegations
Yeah.
and their potential societal impact,
Mm-hmm.
it's crucial to remember that the legal process needs to run its course.
And regardless of the verdict, right?
This case has already sparked a conversation that feels impossible to ignore.
It has.
It's a stark reminder that the price of fame is often far higher than we realize.
Yes.
And sometimes that price is paid by those who are most vulnerable.
It's a sobering thought, for sure.
It is.
And it begs the question,
Yeah.
what will we do with this information?
Right.
Will we simply move on to the next headline?
Right.
Or will we use this as an opportunity
Yeah.
for reflection and change?
That's the question we want to leave you with today,
Okay.
as we await the outcome of this legal case.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not lose sight of the larger conversation it has ignited.
Yes.
This isn't just about Sean Combs.
Right.
It's about scrutinizing the structures that allow such alleged abuses of power to fester.
Yes.
And more importantly,
It's about our individual and collective responsibility
right.
to demand better.
Yes.
It's easy to get caught up in like the whirlwind of accusations and,
Right.
and legal proceedings and all that. But
Mm-hmm.
I keep coming back to something you said earlier about like the price of fame.
Right.
It makes me think about how we as a culture like contribute to this ecosystem,
Yes.
We elevate celebrities,
Yes.
sometimes putting them on these pedestals.
Yeah.
But what responsibility do we bear when those pedestals like crumble
Right.
and they reveal a much darker truth?
That's the heart of the matter, isn't it?
Right.
We can't ignore our own complicity in propping up these systems of power and influence, you know? We devour the carefully crafted narratives, we celebrate the successes, and often we, turn a blind eye to the whispers of wrongdoing. This case, if nothing else, demands a level of introspection on everyone's part.
Right.
How do we reconcile our admiration for the artist, the entrepreneur, the icon, with the very real possibility of a much darker side?
And how do we move forward?
Right.
It feels like we're at a cultural crossroads, like grappling with these very issues across, various industries, not even just...
Yeah. It's about being, I think, more discerning consumers of culture.
Yeah.
We have to ask tough questions. We have to demand transparency and be willing to challenge the narratives that we're fed, even when it's uncomfortable.
Right.
It's about recognizing that our idolization, our fandom, can sometimes cloud our judgment.
It's about holding people accountable.
Yes.
Not just through legal systems, but through like our own choices, right?
Exactly.
What we support, who we listen to, the conversations we're willing to have.
Precisely. We have more power than we realize.
Right.
Our voices, our choices, they matter.
Yeah.
This case, as you said, has sparked a conversation.
It has.
Now, the question is, will we keep that conversation going?
That's the challenge we'll leave you with today.
Okay.
As we await the outcome of this legal case against Sean Combs, let's not lose sight of the larger conversation that it has ignited. This isn't just about him, It's about all of us looking at these systems, scrutinizing the structures that allow such alleged abuses of power to fester.
It is.
And more importantly, it's about our individual and collective responsibility to demand better.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Thank you.
Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and keep asking those tough questions.